Hi there and welcome to another video from Hegarty Maths. It's Mr. Hegarty here, and in this video we are solving two-step equations involving multiplication. Let's start with something we've already talked about. We've in the past written these mathematical sentences or equations from an I'm thinking of a number problem. Can you think that I'm thinking of a number problem that each of these would have been written from? Well, the first one would have been I'm thinking of a number x, let's say, I multiply it by 3 first and then I add 2 and I got the answer 12. Whereas in this case, I would have thought of a number, added the 2 first and afterwards multiplied by 3 and got 12. So it's really important you know the difference between these two cases. In this case, when you were setting up the equation, you multiplied by 3 and added 2. So if you're solving this equation and going backwards, the first thing you're going to do is subtract 2 and afterwards divide by 3. Whereas in this case, because the first thing you did was add 2 and then you multiplied by 3, to go backwards, it's important the order, we're going to divide by 3 and then subtract 2. So that's crucial. But as long as you can look at these and think what happened to x in the right order and therefore undo it in the appropriate order, we're going to be fine solving all these types. So I'm going through various examples. At any stage, pause the video and have a go first. Solve the following. Okay, what happened to x? I multiplied by 3 and then I added 2. So going backwards, what am I going to do? I'm going to subtract 2 and then divide by 3. So let's do that. Subtract 2 off both sides, and I get myself that 3x is therefore equal to 10. So 3x is therefore equal to 10. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 3, which I write like that. Divide by 3, divide by 3. The 3's cancel here, and I get that x is therefore equal to 10 thirds. And that's the answer. Done. Now, I can substitute in 10 thirds to check. 3 times 10 thirds is going to be 10. 10 add 2 is 12. Yeah, I've got it. Couple of things to note here before we go on. Look how my equal signs again are in a line. That's really important that they're in a line like that. One last thing to say, sometimes guys you might have it written like that, 2 add 3x is equal to 12. I always like to write the x's on the most left hand side like that, so I'd swap them around because addition is commutative. And the last thing, sometimes you would also see the following. You would see that the 12 is on this side and we're solving an equation like that. I would just always write it the other way around and solve it the way I've just done. I just find it better if the x is on the left hand side. Right, let's do another one. Pause and have a go if you feel like you know how to do. Okay, what happened to x? Well, going this way, I first multiplied by 3 and then subtracted 2. So going backwards, the first thing I'm going to do is add 2 to both sides and then divide by 3. So let's do that. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Draw my line under it there. I'm going to get myself therefore that 3x is left on this side. Negative 2 add 2 is 0. Negative 4 add 2 is negative 2. So I've added 2 to both sides. Now it's a case of dividing by 3. Divide both sides by 3. I'm just left with x on this side because the 3's cancel. Negative 2 divided by positive 3 is overall a negative answer, and the answer is 2 thirds. And there you go, we're done. Subbing that back in, 3 times negative 2 thirds is negative 2. Negative 2 take away another 2 is negative 4. I got the answer. Next one. Pause, have a go. Okay, let's think what happened to x first here. First we added 2 and then we multiplied by 3. So if I'm going backwards, it's really important that I first divide by 3 and then subtract 2. So let's have a go at that. Divide both sides by 3, like this. And the 3's cancel. And what are we left with? We're left on the left hand side with x add 2 is 12 divided by 3, which is 4. So I've done the divide by 3. Let's subtract 2 off both sides. Subtract 2 off here. Subtract 2 off here. And I'm going to get myself x is therefore equal to 2. And I'm done. Substitute it back in. 2 add 2 is 4. 3 times 4 is 12. Yeah, I got the right answer. Now there's actually another way of doing this that I'm going to show on this side here, which tends to be a tiny bit easier. when you see brackets, you could just multiply out the brackets and then do it. It tends to be a tiny little bit easier because it takes away adding and subtracting fractions sometimes if x was a fraction answer. So the alternative is, before you try and solve, you would multiply out the bracket, and then you would just think, in this new scenario, what happened to x as a new equation. Think it got multiplied by 3 and added 6 in this case. So to go backwards, we would subtract 6 off both sides first, and we would get that 3x is equal to 6. Then we would divide both sides by 3, and we would get ourselves again that x is equal to 2. And that's an alternative way of getting the same answer. I tend to prefer to do these, so in future I might just multiply out the brackets first if you don't mind. Right, let's have a go at this one. Pause, have a go. Okay, first things first, when I see this, I like seeing the x's on the left. So I rewrite that as follows. I'm going to multiply out the brackets. I just find it easier. So I'm going to multiply out and say 3x subtract 15 is equal to negative 9. Now I'm going to think, at this stage, what happened to my x. I multiplied by 3 and then I subtracted 15. So to undo that, to go backwards, I'm going to add 15 and then I'm going to divide by 3. So let's do that. Add 15 to both sides. And what am I left with? On this side I'm left with 3x is going to be negative 9 add 15, which is positive 6. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And I get myself, therefore, on this side, that x is therefore equal to 2. And before I move on, let's put it back in here, the original, and see if it worked. 2 take away 3, negative 3. 3 times negative 3, negative 9. Yep, happy days, I got the right answer. Next one, pause, have a go yourself. No brackets here, so you just have to think what happened to x. Well, I multiplied by 3 and then I subtracted 7. So if I'm going backwards, I'm going to add 7 first and then divide by 3. So let's add 7 to both sides. I'm going to get myself here, 3x is therefore negative 2 add 7, which is 5. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So divide by 3 there, divide by 3 there. I'm left with x is therefore 5/3. And remember, absolutely fine and good practice to leave it as an improper fraction rather than decimalize or leave it as a mixed number. Subbing it back in, 3 times 5/3 is going to be 5. 5 take away 7 is negative 2. I got the right answer. Have a go at this one. Solve for x, it says. I like to multiply out the bracket, so I'm going to do that first. 3x subtract 3 is negative 2. And now think what happened to x. Well, I multiplied by 3 and then I subtracted 3. So to go backwards, I'm going to add 3 and divide by 3 to undo. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. What do I get? I get that 3x is therefore equal to positive 1 in this case. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And what do I get? I get that x is equal to 1/3. And if I was to work this out, 1/3 take away 1 is negative 2/3. Negative 2/3 times 3 is negative 2. I got the right answer. So that's it for this video. Just a couple of things to end with. Make sure your equals are always in line. At the end, when you get an answer, substitute it back into the original in order to check you actually got the correct answer. And sometimes when I see brackets in there, I just multiply it out. I find it easier to do that. Anyway, next video we're going to do two-step equations with division. Thanks for watching.